Today we're here with Seba
Chuffer.
Chuffer. Chuffer. He's a world traveler, filmmaker, deep thinker. Thank you so much for being here today with us. I know it's going to be a really interesting conversation.
I like that word, deep thinker. I never got introduced like that. It sounds good.
Okay. Well, we can tell all of your friends.
Yeah, I will put that into my LinkedIn.
Yeah, CEO.
And deep thinker.
Deep thinker. Yeah, for sure. And so I wanted to start off talking with you about your travel. So you mentioned to me before the interview that you started traveling around 2010.
Yes, I traveled before, but in 2010 I started like the biggest travel, like the longest travel I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I started like before I did travels like for 3 months, 4 months, like but on that travel I was like for 5 years and a half. So that's a big difference.
Wow. But 3 months and 4 months is actually a really long time as well, too.
Yeah. So I did travels, but it was a bit longer, I guess, right?
Great. So I guess I didn't realize that you had traveled before the 3 months, 4 months. How old were you when you did your first travel?
Oh, I think I don't remember well, but for example, I did a travel of like 3 months to the north of Argentina with a friend, like backpackers. Like I don't know exactly how old I was. Maybe 16, like that.
That seems really young, just as your friend is 16. Your mom let you go?
I don't know how she did, but yeah. I don't. She accepted fully, but she had to. But yeah, around that, yeah, 16, 17, maybe, yeah.
Okay, you said she had to. So what? She knew that you're the type of kid that does what he wants, or
I think she had to accept little by little that I was kind of a traveler and seeker of experiences, and I liked to travel since I was very young. I was always thinking of traveling and getting to new cultures and learning about. Since I was young, I think I always travel with books. I was always reading science fiction, philosophy. I always liked to travel with my mind. But when I was able to travel physically by myself, I started to travel around the world, I guess.
Yeah. No, so you like reading books, so?
Yes.
Because not every kid likes reading books.
It's true. Yeah, since I was really young, I think reading books for me was like traveling, because I was able to read people that travel and tells you things about experiences of life. And traveling for me is like getting to know behaviors and getting to know experiences and getting to know other ways of thinking and getting to know different kinds of cultures, and books makes the same. But so yeah, since I was very young, I was like reading a lot of books. I used to read a lot. I used to spend a lot of time outside of society and reading books when I was very young. A lot of science fiction, like I used to read when I was younger.
Was that normal, like among your friends, or no? I didn't have any friends.
I do.
What are those?
But I used to spend a lot of time reading, and I don't know if it was so common. I realize now that maybe it wasn't so common.
Right. But I don't think traveling, I mean, from where I'm from, traveling's not that, it wasn't that important. And still maybe people think of traveling as like a vacation, a 2-week vacation or something like that. I don't think that I thought about traveling until high school, 14, 15, 16, when I found out that it was possible. Like it didn't even occur to me that it was possible to go to other countries. I mean, is it here different because, there's a lot of travelers here, or where do you think your perspective to want to travel?
I'm not sure. I think Argentinian people travels. I don't know if that much, but I've seen many Argentinians that lately they travel. but I travel much more than most of the people I know. It's not. I don't know if it's so common. I'm in the normal head, but I when I was like very young, I decided to travel, and I bought a ticket, and I bought a book, and I started to write that I was going to travel, and my plan was not to have a plan, and I started to write every day about my travel, and I wanted to have experience, and I went to Asia and to and I traveled for many years, and I don't know if it's so common to travel for such a long time.
No.
Yes, many people travel maybe to for a few months or for a year or something like that. I don't know how common it's to travel but I guess many people are, like, it depends. But I don't know how if it's so common.
Right.
But traveling, it has some sense of like looking for something new and for adventures and for change. I think it's the basic of change. Traveling, like in the way of the hero of Joseph Campbell, there is an author that talks about that all the stories are the same story, and there's someone that goes through a path, and the path usually has a path of going from the known to the unknown,
right,
and then coming back through the circle and coming back to your known, being changed, and bringing these stories this change that you are to your own people, to the known. So this is something that for me is like travel. Like you go from your known, from the familiar, from where you are comfortable. You get out of there. It's basically all the stories, all the movies, all the books.
I never thought of it like that. I mean, obviously you have your own perspective because you're a filmmaker. But I never really thought about it like that. But when you say it, a lot of like movies and books occurring, especially The Alchemist, Century, read that. But yeah, you go from your home to another place, bring back all your stories.
All the stories are someone that there is a conflict and they get out of the comfort zone and suddenly they change. They have to make through their will, they have to fight somehow, and they change. And they have to go from A to B, and through their will, they have to change. And we like to watch the movie because we see someone that changed, and we feel identified with them.
Right.
We see, whoa, I also can change, I think that's why we like to hear and listen to stories. We are all the time listening to stories. Like most of the time, if you realize, like all the time we are into stories, like Netflix, movies, news, media, talking with people. Like now we are telling stories, like you are filming something. When you're talking with friends, you go to a restaurant with a friend, all the time you're like speaking with people and telling stories about what happened, what would you do, like most of the time of our life, what we are doing is telling stories. Why? I think it's because stories are the basic of behavior. I'm becoming philosophical now.
Let's go. Just going into it. I tell you, we're going to go where the conversation takes us.
I think it's because most of the time we need to take decisions because we are here, we are alive, and we need to take decisions all the time. We need to decide if we're going in there, we're going over there, we have a couple, we have a family, this other work, we keep our job, we do something else, whatever we do, we need to take decisions all the time. And stories make us see how other people took decisions, how they were brave, how they talked with someone, they were someone like a girl or a boy, and they were afraid, and they took the step, and they, the classic love movie, like he did it and he spoke with her.
Do it.
Yeah. He took the risk, and and they were all this risk, and she said no, and and suddenly they fell in love, and this all these complications, and you see that, and you say, "Whoa, it works!" And going through all these hardships, it works, and the consequences of this, of being brave and acting and having risks, is good because you can. This could happen. So I think that's why we all the time we want to consume stories, because
Yeah.
it's what makes us feel that we can also have our own story and be better and get out of where we are now and go somewhere else. Because we all want to be better.
Yeah.
And we want to, otherwise we will be dead. It's just like, if you want to stay where you are and just stay quiet, for some reason you want to keep growing like a tree. You want to be better, be more alive, even more, be happier, help more people, solve problems,
Well, okay, so I've been reading a little bit about two different types of motivation. And I think your type of motivation is the positive motivation, right? It's like the goals to be better. But the second other motivation is to avoid pain. From what I've read, avoid pain, and struggle and that sort of thing. So I think you're on this side. But do you think that sometimes people, maybe they could see movies a different way or watch TV a different way than you were saying? I love your positive, optimistic view on this, because you're like, wow, it gives me the opportunity to see, people succeeding, people doing what I'd love to do. But on the other hand, do you think that sometimes it could be like movies, TV, that could be a crutch, right? You can be like, oh, like I don't need to go out and travel because I can watch it from here on the TV. Or, people watch junk TV, reality TV shows, because it makes them feel better about their lives, right? These guys are awful. At least I'm not as bad, right? Then they go, oh, I don't need to change because, I'm doing better than these people, right? So I feel like there's two different.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Yeah, I think we all have that. It's not that I don't know if I'm very positive. I'm not.
Goal driven.
I don't know. I struggle a lot with I believe that we all have this, like the Freud takes it from the Greeks, and he called it thanatos, and like we all have these two things of destroying ourselves and growing, and the love and the hate, and we all have these two opposite things inside us, and one part that wants change and the other part that wants to. We all have this struggle.
Yeah.
And we all want to have the chocolate, we all want we all, or the soul and the body, all the Tao, all these things. We all have this struggle inside us. It's not, and we all could be like really bad and really good. It's not that some people, and we all have that all the time. Even like people that are really good, they could be really bad also. It's not like some people are good and some people are bad and lazy. We all are lazy, and we all struggle with our inner monsters, and with all the time. Even people that you say, I'm in the best moment of my life and I'm really good, you could be really bad. You could like do really bad things. Even when you're on the top, like it could, especially when you're on the top, if something bad happens to you, you could be a monster.
Right.
Because you lose everything, and you could be really bad, and so I don't know, but I think we have all these things that some things are for reproductive reasons and some things are for productive reasons. Like many movies are like they show you a little bit of something a little bit banal, so you are like okay, and you don't need to think so much, and you feel okay with that, and you don't need to like the soap operas and all this kind of stuff that is like to feel comfortable and not to. But also even there, you have someone that changes. It's comfortable and it's not maybe so deep, but always you have someone that makes an effort and change something. Even in there, you have someone that's in love with someone and needs to, maybe it's simple, but still there you have someone, right?
They break up.
They break up and he loves someone. It's always someone that through their little will, they need to do something that is difficult for them.
Right.
Because otherwise it's boring. If there is no conflict, you don't watch the movie.
Right.
If they watch the movie, like the soap opera at 5 p.m., if they watch it, it's because there is a conflict. Someone. Otherwise, they don't watch they don't watch it.
Otherwise, you're watching Coco Melon and you're 2 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, that means there is a conflict and there is something that happens and there is someone that is struggling with something and they need to do something. Otherwise, it's like they're struggling. They want the girl, like classic, or the boy, whatever. They don't do anything. It's like, yeah, I like this girl, but yeah, I'm saying not bad.
Yeah.
You don't watch that. Like even there, if it's not so deep for making you change, there is a conflict and someone that wants to do it and afford to change. Otherwise, there's no conflict. If there is no will, there is no conflict. Like a simple conflict. There's a cookie. It's only one cookie. And we both want that cookie. If you say, hey, I want the cookie, and you want the cookie, and it's like, okay, you have it.
Yeah.
There's no movie.
No, they're going to fight over that.
Yeah, we need to die. This is my cookie, and I'm going to have this cookie. And we need to go through this, and it has to be hard,
Can you imagine making an hour and a half
movie? Of course. I teach this to my students, how to make a big conflict of things that you need to be intelligent enough to create the conflict.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And to be like, like, I'm really hungry and this is my ego. And, like, you could be, if you're a good writer, you can find a way that this stupid thing becomes something else.
Yeah.
It's not about the cookie. It's not about the cookie. It's something else.
Okay.
It's a deeper emotion. It's something that happened when before, maybe
right.
An ex-girlfriend. It's not the cookie.
Right.
But we're going to fight for the cookie.
You were beginning of my ex.
Or something happened before in our past. And we are fighting for the cookie, but it's not the cookie. You can make a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
now I'm thinking about making a movie.
Yeah. It's a good scoop exercise, like a script writer. It's a good exercise. Also for the actors. It's like, you feel like it's a cookie, but you start to see something else is happening and like, hey, it's just a cookie. Why are they like so? And it could be, if they are good actors and the script is good, they say, wow, something here is like something else, not the cookie.
Right.
Like if these two people have something else, something happened with them, like if it's a bad script and bad actors, it's like, oh, come on, I don't believe this. It's just a cookie. It's very shit. But if they are good, it's like, wow, what happened here? It's not a cookie. Something deeper is going on here. Something will come up, that this is hard.
So, as far as will and conflict goes, for you to make the decision to go traveling and spend that much time abroad, you said you spent 5 years abroad.
Yeah.
Like what got you to be able to make that decision, and what was stopping you? I guess was there any conflict, or was it an easy decision to make?
Not at all. At that moment, I felt I had a lot of conflict. I was like thinking, no, I'm just to keep my studies, and it's crazy, and nobody does this. And if I go, well, I won't finish my studies. And I was dating someone, and I was like, this is crazy. And my family, I won't see them for a long time, and it's irresponsible, and what will happen, and all the things that and it's crazy, and what I'm gonna do there? I don't have enough money,
right?
And I'm gonna go there, and maybe I don't find a job, and maybe I regret it, and maybe mine.
what your mind does to you,
Yeah.
right? It's awful.
And then you need to shut it out and just, because there's a big difference in the mind and action. Then the mind is just a mind, it's just stories. Then reality is, the mind has an ability to order things and calculate and stuff, but reality is different from the calculations. So you can use it, but the problem is when the mind is not, you are not using it. It's running by itself. It's not. I didn't ask it.
Right.
It's not that I say, okay, mind, I want you to work now.
Right. Think about this scenario for me.
Yes.
So you're
I wasn't asking.
no, it's like I'm gonna do
It
it.
was all the time, like
Yep.
just like telling me things I didn't ask. I think this is a big difference with the mind. Like, like if it's like, hey, I want to think all the possibilities that might go wrong and write them on paper. Help me out. If now I want you to work. Come on. What are you worried about? Okay, these are but the problem with the mind is like, it's like all the time, 10 new things when you didn't ask them. And it's like, you're in the shower and or you're with friends having fun. And it's like, hey, this could happen. And this is bad. And this is hey, I'm having dinner with friends. Why are you telling me this now? And it's like, I didn't ask you now. Like, so this is not on control. It's not on your control. It's just independent of you.
How can you, like, do you have a way to explain that to yourself? Like, for you, is that like, is it an alter ego, or is it just, the things that you've learned as a kid that are just like repeating themselves? Like, do you have a way?
The mind?
Yes. How do you explain?
I think we don't control. In all the old traditions, like, and through meditation, what I learned is like, we usually identify ourselves with our thoughts and with our mind. And when you meditate, it's very clear that you are not your thoughts and you are not your mind. It's like when you meditate for 1 hour, you get out and you see your thoughts and you say, oh, wow, there are lots of thoughts there. And it's like, oh, wow, it's all the time I've been there, but it's not me. I'm not controlling them. And it's quite obvious. It's like, and if you don't meditate, sometimes it's like you are not even aware,
right,
that you are not
your thoughts,
and you are not even aware that you are thinking.
Right.
You are just there thinking
all the time. Yeah.
And it's quite obvious when you meditate. And it's like, oh, there are lots of thoughts, and there is something that you are thinking. Oh, there are thinkings, and I'm watching them. Like the observer, what they call the observer. So you observe your thinking. So if you are able to observe your thinking, clearly there is something else that can observe the thinking.
Right.
So clearly there is two different levels. So if you can observe your thinkings, clearly you are not your thinking.
Right. That was one of the things that blew my mind. I'm guessing, have you read The Power of Now by Yetasuli Ray? That book blew my mind because it's not just about that. And I think that was like one of the key moments a key moment in my life is reading that book and being able to separate my thoughts from myself, right? Was there a moment for you when you realized that? Did you read a certain book, or is it when you started meditating, or for you?
That was a very book. I read that book when I was in India. They gave it to me in my birthday.
Wow.
As a gift. Some people I was with on my birthday. It was a very good book. It really opened my mind. But the biggest change, one of the biggest changes, the first time I meditated in Argentina before going to travel.
Mm.
And it was the first time I realized, like, I was crazy and I didn't have any control on my mind. I was like, oh, I didn't know it was possible to, I didn't know that my mind was all the time talking, and I didn't know. Like, it was like a new experience. Like, oh, my mind is speaking all the time, and it was a new experience. Like the first time I meditated, it was like, whoa, this state exists and I can be in peace for half an hour, and this space is possible. I didn't know about it.
Right. Did somebody tell you about it or tell you to do it, or?
Yeah, a friend of mine told me many times to do it before traveling, and I was like, no, this, I don't have time. It's bullshit. I have a lot.
Sweet.
I had a lot of precious wishes about meditation, and I was like, yeah, it's cool, but I don't know. Like, I was like, yeah, I was more like thinking too much intellectually about it, and it was like, yeah, probably it helps a little bit to reduce anxiety, but I don't have time for that bullshit.
So you did it and it worked?
Yeah, and then it was whoa, yeah, this is interesting. And then one of the biggest moments that it changed me, it's when I practiced Vipassana in India. After my birthday, when they gave me that book in India, I practiced Vipassana. It was 10 days on silence.
Vipassana?
Vipassana.
Okay.
It was 10 days on silence, a retreat, meditating 10 hours and a half per day.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like very, very a life-changing experience. Like, yeah, after that, it was like a very big change in my life. Like, I realized I could be in peace and conscious, and that there was a path of being a better human being, and most of the issues of life are related to your mind, not controlling your mind and your emotions. That most of everything is just related to that. And it was very clear.
So I always thought that meditating, and I know that there's different types of meditating, but I always thought that meditating was just looking to clear your mind and not think. Like, I feel like, but I don't know, when you go, don't think, don't think, don't think, all you do is think, right? But I mean, I don't know. Is it not just clearing your mind? How do you come up with these realizations, I suppose, if what you're doing is not thinking? Or are you doing something else when you're meditating?
But I see what happens is not that you try not to think. You just stay, and all the thinking starts to come out. It's like cluttering your mind. It's like, because you don't react, things start to come out, and emotions and unconscious thinking and stuff that were deep in your mind. First, the most the things that were upper in your mind go out, like things of the day, and things that were like things that worry you, that you were like, you have to make this, and you talk to someone today, or someone told you something, and someone told you a bad thing today, whatever, that it's more like day to day. But once you meditate deeper and deeper and deeper, more unconscious things and deeper emotions starts to come out. It's not that you don't think. You just let things that are deep, because you are not, when you are acting out in the world, you are like operating, and you are like, you have to survive, you have to eat, you have to do something so a car doesn't crush you, and you need to be operative in the world, so you don't have time for your unconscious to go out, and emotions to go out and deal with that stuff, because it's also dangerous. You need a car not to crash you.
Right.
You cannot have a deep emotion going out, and so all the stuff has to be, it has a function that it's not there. Otherwise, it cannot work. So when you meditate, I think what happens is like all this stuff starts to come out little by little, and it starts to go. And so it's not that you don't think. All the things that are like, all the the things that worry you. First, like, I think what happens is like the things that are bigger and more like not so deep. And once these things start to solve
Right.
and go into your conscious mind, then the deeper things into your unconsciousness and your emotions and into your body starts to come out.
And you watch it.
And you watch them.
Okay.
And you observe them. And sometimes it's hard because it's things that you didn't want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe things that were like very deep in your unconscious. Things that happened to you, things that you didn't want to remember, things that were like you were pushing into your past, or things that were emotionally difficult, So that's why most of the people, we try to be distracted.
Right.
That's why people take drugs, legal or illegal drugs, or also watch Netflix or want to be distracted, because being with yourself is difficult.
Yeah.
Because you're accepting yourself, it means watching all the shit that you have, all the things that you do, that you did, all the things that they did to you, all the bad decisions that you took, all these emotions and all. I think that's why it's difficult.
Right.
Otherwise, everyone would be enlightened, and
because if you face it and deal with it,
it's quite difficult to deal with all your shit and all the things and with your shit.
But after doing it, you feel like you can deal with it better. Your shit. You can face yourself.
But it's difficult.
Yeah.
Sometimes very difficult things come and you need to stop, and it's like, okay, it's like, this is too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sometimes this kind of stuff happens, and I don't know, some people get like unconscious things that happen to them. In meditation, in other techniques also, like holotropic breath work, or there are many techniques that gets into the unconscious, and some people have that very difficult things when they were young, or things that like really difficult stuff, and they are not all prepared to get there.
Right.
It's like not everyone is prepared to get to what happened.
Sure. So backing up just a little bit, as far as your first time moving abroad, you got over your mind and decided to go. Your first place was New Zealand, you said, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you moved to New Zealand. And so what? Were you able to just get a visa, or?
I had a working holiday visa.
Working holiday visa. For Argentinians, they have it. I think we have it as well. I don't know how many people in the world have the working.
I don't know if a few countries, and it's been changing, but at the moment we have as Argentinians.
So you went there, and what were you prepared with? I know you said you didn't have much money. You had to stop doing school. Like, you broke up with a girlfriend. Like, what?
I went there. I left everything. I remember in the book I wrote that the first notes of my book was like that my plan was not to have a plan. Because before I was like planning stuff, and I say, okay, my plan is not to have a plan. And I started to write a lot. And when I arrived in New Zealand, I remember the first thing, I met some Argentinians in a lady. And then some guy, Mike, I think it was his name, he hosted us in his house in Auckland. And we met some Mexicans, and we were all there in Auckland. We were like 12 people in Nairobi.
Yeah.
Really cool. And we met many people, and as soon as I arrived, I was like all time of people. And I remember one day I say, let's buy a car. And I bought a car with the two Mexicans. It was really cheap, like a very big car.
Yeah.
And I remember like there was a Japanese guy, and he was cleaning in that car because it was very big. And he was like, okay, I can sell it to you like the next week. And we were like, no, we can buy it now. And he said, but I'm living here. And we say, we can take you to a hostel.
Mm.
And he was like, but okay, we can pay you now.
Yeah.
And so we bought the car. We left it he was living there. We left it in a hostel, and we just left with the car in the middle of the night, and we started to travel. So it was like a quick decision.
Oh my gosh. So when you went to New Zealand, you didn't even know where you were going to stay the first night? Like,
No.
Really?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, I started to have these kind of things of taking decisions like without thinking so much, and I did it for a long time.
Mm.
Especially, for example, I left New Zealand. When I was in New Zealand, I had like I was dating someone, and I had a band, and I had a group of friends, and I was like really I was in Wellington at the time. And I was really into Wellington, and I like it, and I had a job, and I was getting a new job. I was really getting very comfortable there. And one day I bought a ticket and I left. I bought a ticket one day, and 3 days later, around 3 days later, I left, and I told everyone, hey, I bought a ticket and I'm leaving.
Oh my.
So we did a goodbye party, and everyone's like, oh, but you're leaving, like suddenly. And I sold the car like, the other day, and I realized I was getting
Too
comfortable, and my plan was to travel and trade. So I had to take that to change. I say, okay, if I'm too comfortable here, I really like this, but it's like I'm recreating my life as in Argentina, and
Right.
This is like, I like this, but if I'm doing this, I could just stay here.
Right.
So
There's other experiences that you were trying to have.
So I broke my life there, and I keep traveling. And it was quite difficult. So at some moment I learned how to, emotionally it was very difficult because I got attached to people, and
Yeah.
I learned how to detach myself from people and to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is like something I learned. Like at the beginning, it was very difficult because I was very attached to people, to like friends and people that I was like, I couldn't leave them easy.
Do you think that's an important skill for people to learn?
I don't know. It could be, depending on how. Some people have this ability and they are sociopaths also. Like,
yeah, too much detachment. I mean, yeah.
Some people can not have emotions, and it's called psychopaths or sociopaths.
A sociopath.
But I think it's good to have that ability, but also to have the ability to feel empathy, and it's good to have the ability to let go.
Yeah.
In everything, so you can be free of taking decisions.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
To do your thing.
So when you
but not to have the emotions.
Yeah, don't be emotionless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to have the ability to let go and not to be afraid. It's not to be afraid. I think that's the thing. Not to feel emotions, but not to be afraid.
Mm.
To say, this is what I want to do. I'm not afraid. It's difficult, but I'm not afraid. Sorry, I think it's good to be afraid. I'm afraid, but I'm doing it anyway. Maybe that's better, right?
Right. Sometimes
it's good
to be afraid. Right.
It's good to be afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm afraid, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Maybe that's like a good thing.
Push back. You can push past your barriers.
Yeah, being afraid, it has a. If you want to jump from a building, maybe it's good to be afraid.
Afraid. Yeah.
It's good. You are afraid. It's good to be afraid. But then you can think, okay, I want to jump. Maybe not. But I want to talk with these people that I'm afraid to talk because I'm shy. I'm afraid, but I would talk anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe that's good.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking of talking, how was your English at that time when you first went to New Zealand?
I remember I learned a lot while traveling.
Yeah.
But I remember I was tired after a long day of like stalking. At night, I was like tired, but I was like, I didn't want to speak anymore. I remember at some moment I realized I was thinking in English. The first time I realized that I was thinking in English, it was like, whoa, I'm not thinking in English. It was present. It was the first time that happened, and it was very weird.
Yeah.
I was like,
I can feel your mind changing, or it's a noticeable thing.
yeah. I was thinking in English. I saw my mind that, when you are, I don't know, like thinking stuff.
Right.
I was thinking in English, and I say, "Wow, I'm thinking in English," and not on purpose, It was just like, and I said, "Whoa!" And my mind is changing, and I'm comfortable thinking in English. So, and at the beginning, I realized like I was tired sometimes. I was speaking, but I was tired of English.
Yeah.
My mind was tired. But I think it's like a muscle, like at some moment of training it, I got better.
Yeah.
But probably it wasn't. I don't remember how was my English at that time, but probably I got better, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, tired.
But I wasn't so fluent at English when I started, for sure.
Yeah. Was that a barrier for you? Like, was that an issue? Like, I don't know. I mean, you said you knew English before you left.
No, probably I didn't speak it very good, but I could communicate.
Right. So that probably wasn't an issue.
Yeah, probably it was like I didn't have so many words or I wasn't so fluent, but I could communicate.
Mm-hmm. And so in New Zealand and in Australia, you were just doing odd jobs? Or
Yeah. In New Zealand and Australia, I was like, I did like, I was a waiter. I was like breaking buildings, like, breaking houses, not buildings, houses mainly. I was in a pumpkin hub factory. I was a dishwasher, and I was filming stuff. I was working, but most of the time I was working in labor things.
right. It's not that difficult, right? Or at that time, at least.
Some things were, yeah.
No, I mean to find a job.
No. At that moment, it was quite simple. That's why they put the working holiday visa, I guess, because they want. In New Zealand, I had a working holiday. In Australia, at that moment, there wasn't. I was not officially. I was tourist.
Right.
But in Australia, it was much better pay. So I did a lot of money in Australia.
Yeah. They just paid you under the table.
Yeah, cash.
Yeah, cash.
And with that money, I opened a business in Mexico afterwards because I worked a lot. I was working like lots of hours. They paid me good money.
Yeah.
And I saved a lot of money. I decided like to save money. So I saved a lot of money. And with that money, I opened a business with my brother in Mexico afterwards.
Was that the goal? Because I know the goal is not to don't have a plan, right? Don't have a plan, but you want to have more experiences. But when you go in on Australia and when you decide, I'm going to work a ton to save a lot of money, was it hard to do that?
Oh, not so much. Well, I had a plan there. I broke my rule, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't realize that. Oh, shit. I broke my own rule.
Right.
Well, not having a plan could be to have a plan also.
Okay, so
Fine,
yeah, right.
Right? That's also part of the no plan route. No, it wasn't so difficult. It was difficult because I was working a lot of hours, but
Yeah.
I don't know, for like 2 months and a half, I was working full time in all the jobs, like working as a waiter, working breaking houses, and working as a painter, and working at anything. I was staying in the house of some friends that I met, so I wasn't paying rent. So I was also like in the because I was a waiter, they gave me food there, so I was almost not spending any money and winning money.
Yeah.
So I saved a lot of money, but I was working lots of hours, but I wasn't spending money. So
You saved a
I
ton.
saved a lot of money. And with that money, then I went to India and I was like, I could live for years in India.
No.
Because like the comparison of the money I was making in 1 hour in Australia,
Yeah.
I could live for 1 hour of work in Australia, I could live many days in India.
Really? Mm-hmm.
So the comparison of the money in first world and third world, I don't know now, but it was like insane.
Yeah. Is that why you went to India? Because you knew that your money?
No. I went to India because I was planning to go
Yeah.
to India. No.
But why India?
I was attracted to Indian philosophy and
Yeah.
and I wanted to. One of the main places I wanted to go when I started to travel, it was India.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess I didn't ask you why New Zealand or Australia either.
New Zealand because I had a friend that recommended me to go there because he went there and he told me New Zealand, the working holiday, and not many people know about it, and there were many. Then it became popular, but not many people know about it at that moment. And there were very little visas. And he also told me about Australia, that he went as a tourist. Like he told me all the tricks, so I knew I could
save some money.
He did it, so he explained me how it is. He told me, can go here and talk with these people, and he explained me everything. So he was like my teacher. And India, I had I don't know, I wasn't. I think the exotic craziness of India got me attracted. Also the philosophy and all this. I think it was kind of the elixir of the exoticness of everything, It was like, I want to live in India. It's like, I want to see this place and live there and see like, what's India? Why, like India, just not knowing anything about India, it's
different
and it's weird and it's mystic, and it's like there's something there, I didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
But I was traveling and started to get people that were there, and I started to hear stories, and I was really attracted to India. I didn't think much about it. It was just like I was attracted that I had to go there. Same thing I'm having now with Japan, but I'm not thinking much about it. That's just.
But they're calling you there.
Yeah, I just want to go to Japan. Yeah. I'm not thinking much about it. It's just like, for the last few years, I'm thinking in Japan, and it's not that I'm thinking rationally about like I want to go to Japan. It's just like I could make a rational process about it, but it's just like it calls me that I want to go there.
Yeah.
Because it's a old tradition. Because I know there is a lot of knowledge there. Because I know there is a lot of things I feel I want to learn from there.
Mm-hmm.
Also because there is a lot of discipline, a lot of knowledge on how to, and things that I think I want to develop on myself. So I think that's why I want to learn there. And India, at that moment, I felt there was a lot of spirituality, a lot of knowledge of all traditions, a lot of old knowledge that I wanted to get. So I think that maybe it was a bit unconscious. Maybe I didn't know exactly what I wanted to get from there. But the unconscious mind was maybe saying this knowledge.
Sure. It sounded like you did get some things from there.
I did.
What are the things that you didn't expect that you would get, or good and bad?
Well, India, all the time for the first months, it was like half a day I hate it and half a day I loved it.
Why?
Because all the time I couldn't understand or expect what was going to happen, and I felt crazy things happen all the time. So I feel like this is a shitty place and I want to leave, and then I felt like this is the most beautiful place and it's amazing. Because all the time people were like trying to get something from you, and they try to teach cheat you and try to get money from you, and it's very like tiring, and it's like they see you as an object of you're an European or you're white and you have money and right, they want to get something from you. But at the same time, the people are beautiful, and most of the people are not like that, and they want to know you, and so it gets mixed. So you don't know who is like really trying to. So it's all the time like that, and all the time also they try to cheat you with money. You want to buy water, and they tell you 500. What's the name of the rupees? Rupees, yeah. And it's all the time. You need to be like fighting with that, and it's like it's very carrying.
But I know. How much?
It's not like one day. It's like 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's like at the beginning, and also all the things like happening, and they almost get me high in a bus, and all the things are happening that are dangerous also, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you're in places that they could steal from you, and there are things that could be very dangerous that you don't know.
Right.
And all the times it's like, and I was getting into places that were not like very touristic, and I could be dead there and nobody will know, like, so it was very, so all the time, also the behavior of people was not, I couldn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's not Western at all, and it's totally unpredictable. And I think their mindset and how they are built as a society and their mind is totally non-predictable for us.
How do you mean? 'Cause I've never been to India. I have no idea what you mean as far as what is it that they're like not Western, or their behavior is unpredictable, or not sure.
You don't understand what they want sometimes. If they want, you don't understand if they are really nice, or if they want to get something for you. So it's very not clear. Like the sign languages of like, we are more able to understand people that are Westerns because we are more aware of some signs, or some body language, and some stuff. There is like, you don't know, and you don't know anything. It's very different. It's very different on the culture and the everything. So you don't know anything, and how they behave is really different. And the culture is very in a bus, for example, someone comes and they give you the baby to pay. So it's like, it's totally out of, like, it's like you don't understand what's happening. Why?
Someone gave you the baby.
So it's like, say, what? Like, all the time it's like things happen that you're like,
shocked.
Yeah, it's like, but all the time things like this happen. It's not like, once. Every day, and that's like uncomfortable for your mind, rational mind, trying to understand things. So it's uncomfortable. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, what's this? Like,
how am I supposed to deal with this?
How do I operate in this reality? Or for example, I'm in a book and someone is like,
they're reading your book, and
like this, and you don't know. Like, it's like, I have to be angry, but it's not like he's not trying to be rude with me. He's
right.
So all the time this kind of stuff is like, you don't know how to
read it,
or someone does something that you feel like, this is like, in the Western world, I would be like, this is fighting, like, this is something that is very rude. Yeah, but you don't know if it's rude here. It's like,
hey,
maybe they're like, and like, all the time this thing happen, and you're like, what is he trying to say? It's like he's trying to steal. He's trying to. He's weird. He's crazy. He should. I don't know.
Right.
So it's like you don't know, and then things happen, and maybe he was trying to steal, or maybe not. He was just trying to watch you because he was like amazed because you're white.
Right.
So you never know. So it's like all the time you try to understand behaviors.
You're analyzing
the rational Western mind.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. And all the things every time you think you understand something, something happened that is totally the opposite.
No.
So it's like you don't have any place to attach yourself to something and be comfortable. So it's like you are lost. I don't know how to explain it, but it's very uncomfortable. And it's very good because you learn how to not to have to be so rational and have to control everything. But it's like you think, oh, I got it now. I got it how it is. Yeah. Yes. I got it. Now, I've been 2 months here. I got it. And then something happens very crazy and it's like, what the fuck? You know? And this happens all the time.
Yeah.
So what happened to me is, I think, around 3 months and a half. There was one moment, I don't know how it happened, that I stopped trying to understand. My mind, it was like,
that's the way it is.
Yes. You know, very Eastern, you know. It was like, okay, things happen. Okay, things are happening. I know, very meditative. She said, but that happened. I don't know. My mind got tired of trying to catch or understand or comprehend things. After India, a good friend of mine came to visit me. After India, in one day, I was in Thailand, and a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, called me and he say, "There's a cheap ticket. Shall I buy it now?" And suddenly, I was in the middle of the beach, in the middle of nowhere, in an island, and it was for like 6 months from there, and I say, I don't know where the fuck I'm gonna be in 6 months, right? I don't know where I'm gonna be tomorrow, like. And I say, yeah, wherever, like, but I don't know what I'm gonna be.
Right.
So after India, I came back and I traveled with him in Thailand, and then after India, I went to Thailand. I traveled with my friend, and then I went to Israel.
Israel.
Yeah.
That seems as like a specific place.
Yes. It's a long story, but I went to Israel. Suddenly I was going to go to Japan or China, and one day I decided to go to Israel because I felt in India a connection with going to go to find my roots. In India, I felt like a deep connection that trying to find meaning and purpose and stuff. I felt like a deep way that I didn't know anything about my roots, and I have Jewish roots, so is it Israel?
From Israel.
No, from Israel, maybe thousands of years ago.
What did you say? What kind of roots? What?
Jewish.
Jewish.
Yeah.
Jewish.
No, my family didn't come from Israel like now, but maybe thousands of generations ago. And also I had a girl I was dating that was in India, that was from there. I know things happen. And suddenly I was going to buy a ticket to China, and then I don't know, I changed and I bought a ticket to Israel. And I went to Israel, and in Israel I had the idea of making, when I was in Israel and Palestine, I had the idea of making a documentary with Palestinian and Israeli kids making cinema together, and that's when I started to make workshops with kids, filmmaking workshops with kids. And when I started, when I came back, I was in that moment in Israel for like 4 months, and when I came back to Argentina, I started to do some workshops with kids making movies, because I wanted to do a documentary with Palestinian and Israeli kids, and that's when I started like to
Is that something that you went to school for, by the way? Were you going to school for filmmaking or?
I did some filmmaking at school.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I did some psychology, sociology, and filmmaking.
And filmmaking, okay.
And I wanted to do a documentary about Palestinian Israeli kids, and I started to make workshops and started to grow. And then I went to Mexico. I've been like 2 years and a half, almost 2 years and a half in Mexico, and the school started to grow, and I started to have lots of students. And I started to have lots of students that wanted to learn how to make movies and how to create content. But the basic idea started in Israel and Palestine when I wanted to make a documentary about Palestinian and Israeli kids making cinema together, because I thought it was important. Because I realized that the stories that people tell themselves and the stories they tell about the other are the stories that they recreate the conflict. I realized that they kill each other because they tell a story that the other is bad, and they bought the story about the other.
Yeah.
And the thing that mainly reproduces the conflict is that kids are born and they are going to tell them a story about that the other one is bad.
Right. Not because of their own experience. It's just from a story.
Yeah, it's a story.
Right.
And I hear stories from both sides, and both stories are stories, and they are true. They both have people that were, they died on both sides, and they were killed. So if you hear those stories and you feel emotional about them, like, you will have hate and you will have hatred and all this kind of stuff. So I realized it was important for kids to have stories and to be able to create stories together, and
so they were creating
into the fabric of storytelling together.
They were doing it together.
Yes.
Wow.
So they can understand how stories are made.
Mm.
Because the mind operates through stories, and behavior basically is the operational system of our being.
The stories we create in our mind.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I felt it was important to create a storytelling educational company. Because the operational system that we operate through is stories. You believe stories and you operate through the stories. If you tell a story that you are stupid and you are not good and you are whatever, you will operate in that mindset, and you will do that.
Right.
If you think someone did something bad to you and you believe that, and you can kill someone, you can fight, you can, it's not a soft skill. It's just as artistic or creative. It's an operational system that creates behavior and creates actions.
Is this what you teach the kids that you work with? I mean, it's pretty deep. I was just wondering.
Yes. Not directly all the time.
Yeah.
But that's the philosophical base of the educational method.
Uh-huh.
But not all the time we talk about it.
Right.
They
might not get it. Might not.
No, they will get it, but they don't have to talk about it all the time in order to. It doesn't have any sense that we are talking about it, because it's a meta language of why we are teaching them.
Right.
This. What's a deep reason and the deep why of why teaching them all these things are important. But if we are talking about this all the time, we are not teaching them the tools. That's why.
That makes sense.
But they will get it. They get it. They are really intelligent. They get things pretty quickly.
Yeah, I feel like creative people who are creative. I mean, everybody has what I'm trying to say, the ability to understand concepts, but I think creative people are more able to open their mind. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, maybe different people have different abilities to understand
Right.
complex and abstract concepts.
Right.
Some people are more, they get less abstract concepts easily, and some people get abstract concepts easier.
Yeah. So as far as traveling goes, do you think it's worth it? Do you think everybody should travel? Do you think only certain people should travel? What's your opinion on it?
Should I have an opinion on that?
Do you have an opinion on it?
I think traveling is nice. I think everyone should try at least to travel in a way of getting out of their familiar. I think that's the kind of the meaning of life. Travel not in a way of maybe getting out of your physically of your town, of your city or whatever, but I think part of the travel thing is to get out of the familiar, to get out of the comfort zone, to get out of where you are now and getting somewhere else and getting to the unknown.
Right.
The unknown doesn't have to be to go into India or to a very far and crazy place. Could be just getting to something that you are not yet and could be. I think that's really important. And travel is a archetypical way of doing that, but not everyone has to travel. But I do believe, and I would recommend everyone to get out of the known.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the known you die. Because it's like you get stuck. You get stuck and you stop moving. If you stop moving, you don't grow, and if you don't grow, you die. Like a tree. You need water, and the water makes you grow. If you don't have water, you get stuck and you die.
And the water's gross. Hey,
What?
the water's gross.
Yes.
Yes.
I think you need to in some way to get to the unknown somehow. The unknown doesn't have to be to travel. Not everyone has to travel. The unknown could be to very little. It could be just because the world will get you to the unknown somehow, because you will have a conflict. You could be a farmer and the weather will be bad for some moments, and you will get to how to face the unknown, because something will happen always, and you have to be trained to get to the unknown. You don't have to. If you don't do it, reality itself will get you to the unknown. You could be a farmer, and I don't think everyone should travel. It's not that you can do whatever you want, but if you're a farmer and you have a family and you have it's good also to have routines and to have
Do you think so?
Yes.
Not always not having a plan is good.
Yes, of course. Having a plan is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, having goals, and I did it when I was younger because I wanted to break and to learn things. But I think one of the most important things is to have a vision and to have a plan and to have a goal. And yeah, I think it's the most important thing to have. Even the most important thing is to have the biggest goal that you can have, like to have the biggest ideal and try to get, not to get there, trying to get closer to the ideal self.
What about people who don't know how to have a big goal? I mean, that happens, right? People don't know how to dream big. Are there exercises you think?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if you have to dream big, but to have a vision of
Yeah. Even if it's just like the next step.
Yeah, I think everyone has a desire, but maybe you need to just be conscious on what's your vision on what you die? Like when I say you die, I mean like you stop growing, you start to get depressed, you get your body starts to get less active and less like a tree, like when I say, or you grow or you get like a tree, or it gets bigger and more greener and bigger and stronger, or it gets a bit, like it, it starts to die a little bit.
Right.
And I think we have the same. It's not like there's a middle point.
Mm-hmm.
It's that there's no middle point, that just gets stuck and it's okay. But I think it's just a vision. Like maybe the vision is to have family and to have work, but there's always like a game you wanna play. The next game you wanna play, like a game that could be like education. It could be like a family relationships, making money, making whatever. But it could be, doesn't have to be very big. I don't think everyone has to have a big vision and change like big things, or it could be very simple. Now it's like everyone talks about that you had to have like a big cast or a big. It's in the simple things. I think it's like the most difficult things. Just to sometimes it's very difficult to have a good relationship and to have family and to have good job and be good with your coworkers, and that's wonderful. You don't have to be Bill Gates or
Right.
and be famous.
Oh, thank you for telling me that. I was really stressed. Oh, I will not get anywhere near. But
It's like being the purpose is to be Elon Musk, and no, why? Why you have to be this being us, like being very famous and successful and have a lot of money?
You don't have to be the best, but do you feel like you have to be the best version of yourself?
Yeah, I think that it's like being the best, better than you the day before. Like it sounds like cheesy self-material book, but I think it's like that. Like you need to not to accept exactly. Also, all these self-help books that tells you accept yourself as you are and all the things. It's like, I don't know, like
Not sure if that's true, but
yes, accept yourself, but at the same time, not like if you accept yourself as you are, you don't change. Like,
right.
yes, love yourself, accept as you are now, but accept that you could be better. Like
Right.
I could be having a drug addiction now, and you could accept yourself. This is my situation now, but you could be better. And you could be okay now, but you could have a bad relationship with your family, and you could be better, much better. Or you could be good now, but you could be much better and help people and be much happier. You could be much more loving with people, with your neighborhood. Like you could improve, not accept yourself exactly as you are.
Mm-hmm.
Accepting yourself means like then push yourself like badly at this moment. Accept yourself exactly as you are.
Right. Don't punish yourself.
Don't punish yourself.
But keep improving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, no, it's okay. Like, done.
Why are we arguing that? So, do you think now you've been in a rest period? You've been traveling a little bit in Argentina, but your years of traveling long term, living abroad, are a few years ago, right? A few years ago. But do you find purpose in the time that you stay, home?
Yes, I did it on purpose because in some moment I realized my comfort zone was to not to stay in a place, and it wasn't comfortable to me to stay in a place. So in one moment I decided to stay in Argentina and to stay because that was non-comfortable place. Stay in one place.
Seems kind of like an oxymoron. These be comfortable. I get you.
But it wasn't
It
comfortable.
wasn't
For
comfortable.
me, a comfortable place. Deciding to stay for a long time in one place and not travel, and was the worst decision that I could have. Why to stay in one place if I could just travel around the world all the time and do whatever I want? And it was very difficult for me to decide to stay in a place, and I couldn't stay in one place for a long time and not to say, I'm going to Brazil next week.
Right.
Why I would stay in one place if I could not stay in a place? And I could go wherever I want. I had a lifestyle for years, so it was very difficult for me to say, I'm going to rent a place for 2 years. No way. It was very difficult. Very boring also.
Are you happy that you did it? Did you find purpose in it?
Yes. Yeah. I could build a company and have things and friends and do things with family and stuff. And I decided to have that so I could structure myself, have discipline, and have certain things on purpose. And now I think I'm getting into a place where I'm like deciding to break that and to get out of Argentina probably soon.
It's kind of like a helix or a, I don't know, life kind of goes that comes back and beats.
Yeah, I made it. I don't think I'm gonna be traveling, but I think I'm gonna go out of Argentina. I don't know exactly where. I have a few places, but it's not like I'm gonna be nomad. And I'll try. I'm gonna stay like maybe in 2 places and opening the company in a few places. But I'm a bit like, I did already what I wanted to do here.
Yeah.
I decided I was going to do that as an exercise. I say, okay, I need to stay in one place. And, like I'm saying a lot of things about plants and trees, but, for a plant, you need to stay in a place. It's very difficult if you move it all the time. You have to roots, and you need to get it into the ground and put water and every day. So I had that comparison and then say, this is what I need now. I need roots. But once you have that, you tell me.
Transplant.
And then you go somewhere else. But you need that for a while.
Oh.
Otherwise you cannot. You need the roots.
Yeah.
That's what I felt I needed at that time. I need to have roots in a place, and you need time for that. And yeah, so that's what I did for that few years.
As a closing statement, would you, or do you have anything that you would tell somebody who's maybe never lived abroad or lived or worked abroad? Would you have any advice for them or an opinion for them?
Buy a ticket.
First step, buy a ticket.
I think that the best thing is like to buy a ticket and not to think so much about it. And actually, there are lots of excuses and motives that we all put that we have to prepare this, and it's not that what I'm gonna do about it. And like sometimes it's just like you have the credit card, you have like today it's like very simple. It's just like with the phone, you just do it and then you prepare. I think it's a good decision sometimes. If you can prepare it, but sometimes it's just like you will never do it if you think so much about it. So it's just like maybe you should just buy the ticket and then you prepare.
How far in advance?
Doesn't matter.
We're thinking too much, so.
Yes. You don't think of it.
3 months.
You just
Fun.
no.
Well,
you just buy. You find the ticket and you buy. You just buy the ticket and do the hero journey of like getting out of the known, going to the unknown, and you don't know what's gonna happen. That's it. That's the joke. Go into unknown. If you know and you plan and you know exactly what's gonna happen, that's not unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you could get really interesting things and changes and good things into going somewhere that is somewhere that is not the physical place. It's getting out of the norm of your familiar of your. It's not about the place. It's about the art of getting out of the familiar, not the physical familiar, of your routines, of everything that you know, breaking that pattern and getting to a new place. Yeah, the thing would be buy it.
Buy a ticket. I love it. Well, thank you so much for actually having the conversation with me today. It was super great talking with you.
It was amazing. Thank you for the interview. I love